My name is Lisedi Moagi. I will be teaching grade 10 about mitosis. My innovative educational tool is educational games. Before I start with the games, which will aid me in teaching mitosis in grade 10, I will introduce the topic extensively, in which will allow students to be able to engage with the games. This is the mitosis process in which will be shown to the students. I will explain the first phase of mitosis, showing diagram, physical and on the electronic screen. The first thing that I will show my students is these, to show the parts in which are found on the interface. You can see we have the centrosomes and the nuclear envelope in which it has chromosomes inside. I will show them this. Moving on to the prophase. Moving on to the process. The purpose of showing this diagram, it is to cater to the students who learn best by seeing and physical touching. Right, so moving on to prophase. This is what they will see for the prophase. We can see that there is a development of the spindle fibers, and we can see that we still have the nucleus with the two sister chromatids. Moving on to the prometaphase. With the prometaphase, we can see that we have the poles of the poles that are holding the spindle fibers. However, the chromosomes are not in unison. They are mixed up. So this is the identifying key factors of prometaphase. The chromosomes are not in unison. They are found mixed up within the nucleus. Moving on to metaphase. With metaphase, you can see that there is a formation of chromosomes within the equator. The poles at the end are holding the spindle fibers in one direction from the center of the equator where you find the chromosomes. Moving on to anaphase. With anaphase, we can see the separation of the chromatids, the chromosomes which are forming the daughter chromatids. They will separate from the equator, moving towards the two poles, where the spindle fibers will be shortened, which is the key factor of identifying anaphase. Moving on to the two daughter cells, in which are identical that will form for the telophase. These are the two final daughter cells that will form. We can see the chromosomes inside, and we can see one pole on the one end and one pole on the other end of these daughter cells. My innovative educational tool will be showing mitosis and teaching mitosis to grade 10. This is the process of mitosis. My innovative educational tool is educational games. The games are called game roulette. Educational game will be used as a tool to teach mitosis. The class will be divided into 6 groups. They will get to work with each other to get points for their team throughout the games. As the process of mitosis will be explained in details, and they will be given key points in which they can be used to identify one phase from the other. These games will target different learning abilities, which will allow them to participate in the class. These 3 to 4 interactive games will be introduced to the class. The first game will target the visual aid. These games are created so that they are inclusive to all the learning abilities in which you might find in the classroom. As I am starting with this visual aid game, it will target the students in which learn more and best by seeing things. So, the first game is Identify Game. In this game, the group will work together to identify the phase of each mitosis. However, there is a twist to it. It will show a small part of the phase. You will have to try and use this clue to figure out which phase is this. To make it interesting, I have created this pattern where blocks of the black screen can move around and show bits and pieces of the phase, where students can now see the small indicators of the phase of mitosis. So let the games begin. Which phase is this, class? You see, they got to see the small parts of the phase of mitosis. And they also have the clue on the computer that can help them. This is the phase in which they see. It is the telophase, where the two daughter cells are now formed. They are identical too. Moving on to the next phase. Which phase is to the next one? Which phase is this one, class? The blocks move around to show the small bits and pieces. How I made this tool is that you create an overhead of blocks on PowerPoint, which the box can move around. You can then come here and you can say the box can move forward or they can move backwards, right? So this is a way in which you can use it. Let's continue. You see how the blocks are able to move around to accommodate the picture? That's how you create the game. These are the blocks as they move around. How I created the game is I had small black boxes and the picture behind. You can bring the picture forth and you can bring the picture behind. And these boxes can move around, which they are able to show small pieces of the picture if now the lesson is at play. See how this part, it's because of the boxes are removed. This is how the boxes get to move around because of they are individually set for them to show at a click. One click moving forth, it then shows the whole picture of the phase in which we find in mitosis. Moving on, they also get to see the next clue. What is the next phase, class? The phases are at random. They have to use the image to identify them based on the explanation that was done on the introduction. The pictures will move around to show the small bits of the phase. The class will then have to guess in their group, worked together out of the pieces that they've seen to conclude which phase is this. And then continuing at that, we will move on to the next one. Yes, it is metaphase. Good job. You can see that the chromosomes are lined up at the equator. The spindle fibers are stretched up, and then we have the poles at each end. The game will continue until all the pieces and all the phases of mitosis are covered. The team with the most points will win this round. Moving on to our next game. My main target of this game was listening. auditory. So this is why I made this game. So the name of the game is called Hot Seat. So how to play this game? One person from each team will come to the front and sit and face away from the screen. There will be a picture on the screen. Your team will describe the pictures of that mitosis face. If they guess correctly, your team gets 1 point. The team to complete the rounds the fastest time will get extra points. So, you're going to say, it's the 5th phase. Chromatid breakdown. Ding, 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 ding. It is anaphase. That's how you get to play with your team. This will allow students to explain the processes the best way in which they have learned. They can use their own words and they can use their understanding. This will allow them to teach themselves how to see things, and it would allow them to say them how they have processed them in their brains. This will also allow students to be able to teach each other as peers, as they will break it down to their understanding. This is a very important part of this game, for them to use their own understanding. So, metaphase. You can say, the chromosomes meet at the equator. The spindle fibers are stretched out. Ding, 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 ding. It is metaphase. We have 2 identical sister cells. We have chromatids. Ding, 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 ding. It is the last phase of mitosis. Yes, it is telophase. Good job. Moving on to the next one. And the next one. On to the next game. Student will get to write and put things in order. The game is called Blazing Order and Pen. Students will have to put these phases of mitosis in the correct order. They will get to move the pictures around, and they get to work together as a team to identify which phase comes first. I have left out the labeling of the pictures because of it will help with their muscle memory. We've been playing these games throughout the lessons. They've been seeing the labels, which play a vital part in them identifying the phase. How some parts of the phases have nucleus, some parts have chromosomes, some parts have chromatids. So, it's not to trick them. These games are not to trick them, but to help them be able to identify these phases individually using the labels, using the important parts of the pictures. So that is why the labels will remain throughout the games. These parts of the pictures are able to move around with a touch. They will get to order them from one end to the other. So they will have to start with the prophase, prometaphase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and fourth. So this is the game in which we will play as a team. They will have to work together and they will have to be fast. Because of the team in which get to put these in order, the fastest will win a point. Marvelous, right? They will get to interact with the material. They would get to interact with each other, which would allow them to build their teamwork skills, which would allow them to be able to teach each other and build their communication skills as students among themselves. Moving on to the next game. This one is called Unscramble. Remember, we are writing. So, in this part of the game, we have the words in which are for the phases. Remember, we have metaphase, telophase, prophase, prometaphase, anaphase, right? So these are the words. In this game, students will have to unscramble each word and put them in an order of the mitosis process. This will allow them to familiarize themselves with how to write the words and how to spell the words throughout. They will have to say the words out in their brains because we've been talking about these phases throughout the games. Now they get to write them. So let the games begin. Let's unscramble the mitosis phases.